Garth, news this morning on Chad Marshall. What's your reaction to the news?
Sad for Chad. Sad for our club, but mostly for Chad. Just an incredible career. Only two field players that have ever played 400 times for an MLS team. As I said in the release, for me, one of the best domestic careers ever in the history of the league. Only guy to win Defender of the Year 3 times. We can go on through the accolades, but just an amazing player, and I think important to say too that really good person and meant a lot to our club on and off the field, and we're just grateful and lucky and humbled to have had him for as long as we did.
How did this all come about? When did Chad approach you about retirement?
So you guys all saw the injury he suffered in the playoffs last year at Portland, and he had to have surgery out of that. That surgery was successful, but we were warned at the time that there could be issues down the road. And so what we set up was a monitoring program for Chad, and we checked in every couple of weeks and how are you doing, and took some pictures and that kind of thing. And recently, after the Minnesota game, we had rapid degeneration in his knee joint, and unfortunately, after some discussion, it was decided that maybe this was the best course of action for everybody.
Garth, was there an acute injury that happened in the Minnesota game that caused the rapid?
No. Now this was the risk is, and again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to distort or unintentionally misstate anything, but it was a meniscus injury. When you pull the meniscus out, you obviously have some type of bone-on-bone contact potentially, and again, I don't want to certify that that's what was happening, but that was the risk, and that obviously causes some problems down the road. So that's what we were attentive to. That's what we were careful about. And again, I'd say this that we knew that Chad had given everything he had. I mean, this is a guy that took an epidural shot at one point to play in a game. I mean, he's as tough as they come. And if he's coming to you saying this is getting hard, then you probably want to listen to him.
How much pain is he in now? I mean, is it something where he's walking around in constant pain too?
I don't think so, and I don't know that it's constant pain. I mean, better to talk to Chad, and he can tell you what's happening to his body and all stuff. So I want to be careful. I don't want to characterize the medical knowledge here because I'm not a medical expert. But I do think that anytime you get to 35, things start to wear down, and I think that's what happened a little bit with Chad.
How was he in the conversations then with you about making the decision?
Sad. Chad, yeah, it's hard. It's just hard. He played a long time and did a lot of great things and was a wonderful part of our organization. And these conversations with any player are never easy, and this one wasn't easy. And, as part of the process of how we got here, again, we kind of both went into this knowing that there was some risk that we could wind up here. I think we got here quicker than we thought we were going to get here, and it happened more suddenly than we thought it was going to happen. But just given the nature of 400 games in the league, I don't know that you can say it was a shocking outcome in the big picture of things.
Has there been any talk moving forward about his involvement still with the club in any role or capacity?
We've discussed things like that, but again, I'll defer to Chad. Chad should be the one talking about what he wants to do next and what comes next for him. Certainly from a Sounders perspective, our door is open. As I said, he's a guy who has been amazing for the franchise on and off, and we would welcome his continuation as part of the Sounders family and almost any capacity you can come up with. So that'll be up to Chad.
You mentioned the signings weren't a part, or he wasn't a part of the motivation to make the 2 signings, but now you definitely, could use more reinforcements. When are they expected to arrive, or do you have any update on those 2?
Sure. We think that Xavier could arrive as soon as tomorrow. So we'll obviously tell you guys as soon as we know for sure. And just to reiterate, that was something we did. That was a good long-term signing. Oldest positional group in the club, and he's a guy that we think is an answer for the long term. And certainly his integration may be accelerated, but I'd also stress that I think Roman Torres has played very well. Kim Ki-hee's played very well. And so it's not like we don't have good options there. And we're hoping to get Gustav back in some capacity this week as well. So it's another guy who can play center back for us. And Jonathan Campbell did well in Philadelphia. So definitely a piece that'll help. But unrelated to the Marshall transaction in the short term, in the sense of, did we think this was going to happen? No. This was really a long-term decision for the benefit of the club.
When you lose such a veteran in leadership presence in Chad, how important is it to have a guy like Roman Torres to be here and take that role on?
It's unbelievable, and then to have Roman step up and play 3 times last week was a real testament to what a pro he is. And we've always had a high opinion of Roman, and I think when he wasn't playing all the time, it was a reflection of the quality of the guys around him, as opposed to any knock on Roman. And that's how we want to build our team, with multiple good players at every position. And Roman stepped up in the last week, and he's going to get more opportunities going forward.
You sort of answered this question, but does the retirement impact what you may do over the summer? But it sounds, are you comfortable with what you've got as far as center back depth?
Yes, I with the Arriaga addition, I'm comfortable with where we are. We had our plan constructed to be able to potentially add another impact player in the summer. That's still the case. There's nothing that accelerates onto the cap or anything like that here. So in that sense, nothing's changed.
From a purely soccer fan perspective, how big is this loss for the Sounders?
I don't know that you just don't have many guys. I mean, there's 2 guys who played 400 times in MLS, and I don't remember how many he's played for us, but I bet he's in the top 2 or 3 guys in Sounders appearances as well. So look, you can't overstate what that person means when he leaves a club, when you take him out of the group, that kind of thing. But that said, the good news is we were able to succession plan, because when he had this injury last year, again, we were able to say, okay, we know this isn't a risk-free assessment, and we might have to move sooner than later to bring somebody else in here. And fortunately for us, we were able to do that. And honestly, it was a little bit serendipitous that we got it, and we found this out basically the next week. But at the same time, again, I don't know that it was a shocking outcome that this is where we wound up.
As somebody who's been around the league for a long time, what do you hope that it is that people sort of remember about Chad's career and what he was able to accomplish?
He's one of the all-time great domestic players. I mean, 3-time Defender of the Year. This is a guy that didn't get a bunch of national team appearances and didn't get a bunch of press, and played in a small market in Columbus, and then came to Seattle, and was just tough, man. Playing on turf as a center back for all those years in your 30s. I mean, like that. Sorry, Jada. I just have a lot of respect for the guy. He was able to play for different coaches and different systems, and he was always good, and he always won. I think Alex reminded me, I think he's won seven trophies in his career. So that's amazing. I mean, that's just amazing, and it's rare, and I hope we're all taking a moment, and then we are. That's why we're here, to just take a moment to say we're so appreciative that Chad played for the Sounders, and that he was such a critical cornerstone of the club. Won the MLS Cup with us. Wouldn't have won it without him. And they don't make Chad Marshalls every day. We don't grow them on trees. We don't have 3 Chad Marshalls waiting in the academy to come through. He's a pretty close to one of a kind, and that's a rare talent, and somebody that we're very appreciative of.
Garth, you talked about the game's his durability and toughness, but different coaches, different systems. What does that say about his technical ability? And like you said, one of a kind to be able to adapt to different systems.
Sure. Look, I think he's a very good technical player. I mean, I think it's one of the most underrated aspects of his game. I mean, it's easy to look at a Chad Marshall highlight reel and be like, he's one of the best attacking center backs of all time. I mean, I don't know where he ranks on the goal list for center backs, but it's got to be up there. So dominant in the air, big guy, right? But never fouled for the most part. We won when he got a red card last year, and we appealed. I looked all this stuff up, and I'm like, the guy's never been red carded in his career. I mean, he'd had like 10 yellow cards in his whole career. So he's just absolutely a clean player, really, really smart player, cerebral player, could always read the game, and had good feet. So like all of these things, you see the big 6'2", 6'3" frame, good in the air, and he's dominant and all that, and you think that he's this presence, and he was, but he did all these other things so well. And maybe that's a better way to answer Matt's question, is to say he did everything well. He did not have a weak part of his game, and to have a player that's that smart and that gifted athletically that's really rare.